All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling OKRs.
Objectives and key results.
Exactly, those things you keep hearing about.
Yeah.
We're going deep with John Doerr's Measure What Matters.
Like the OKR Bible.
Seriously, it's packed with stories about Google, the Gates Foundation, all these companies using OKRs to hit huge goals.
And not just like any goals, but ambitious ones.
The kind that make you go, whoa, how'd they do that?
Exactly.
So we're going to break down how OKRs work, where they came from,
Real story.
and how they've actually played out in the real world, the good, the bad, the ugly.
You might be surprised where it all started.
Oh, tell me.
The 70s at Intel.
No way. So not a new Silicon Valley thing?
Nope, not at all.
So who's the mastermind behind this?
Andy Grove, Intel CEO Doerr, worked with him directly.
Oh, wow. So we're getting the inside scoop here.
Absolutely.
What was Grove's deal?
He was all about getting things done, execution over everything.
Yeah.
Like he actually said, it almost doesn't matter, execution is all important.
Wow, that's kind of harsh, but I get it.
Yeah, it's like a reality check.
You can have all the knowledge in the world.
But if you don't do anything with it.
It's useless.
Exactly. And that's where OKRs come in.
So they're about putting knowledge into action.
Yeah, clear objectives paired with measurable key results so you can actually track your progress.
No more wishy-washy goals.
Nope. You either hit the mark or you don't. Black and white.
I like that. No room for interpretation.
Grove was very clear about that. He said, the key result has to be measurable. But at the end, you could look, and without any arguments, did I do that or did I not do it? Yes. No. Simple. No judgments in it.
Okay, so OKRs are about clarity and action, but how are they different from those old school MBOs, management by objectives? Weren't those supposed to be about goals too?
They were, in theory, but think of MBOs as like the slow, clunky older brother to OKRs.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
They were usually yearly, kept secret, and tied to your salary.
Which probably just made people play it safe.
Exactly. OKRs are designed to be way more dynamic.
So instead of that yearly performance review that makes everyone sweat, OKRs are about setting goals every quarter, right?
You got it, and they're public,
Yeah.
which keeps everyone accountable.
And on the same page.
Yeah. Plus, they're not usually tied to compensation.
So people are more likely to take risks.
Smart risks, the kind that lead to breakthroughs.
Gotcha. So speaking of thinking big, let's talk about Google.
Oh yeah, they took OKRs and ran with them.
Doerr tells this amazing story about introducing OKRs to Larry Page and Sergey Brin.
It's like a match made in heaven.
Google was already all about go big or go home,
And OKRs gave them a framework to channel that energy,
into goals that were not just big, but audacious, like their 10x thinking.
aiming for 10 times better results than what anyone thought was possible.
That's insane. It's not just a motivational poster, though.
Right.
Doerr talks about Sundar Pichai, Google's CEO.
Yeah,
Early in his career, he had to increase Google Toolbar users tenfold.
talk about pressure. But it shows how Google used OKRs to build a culture where risks were encouraged.
Even if they didn't hit that 10x mark every time.
They still made huge progress, and they didn't punish failure.
They saw it as a learning opportunity.
Exactly. Like that saying, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
Love that. But this isn't just a Google thing, right?
No, not at all.
Can companies that aren't trying to organize the world's information use OKRs too?
Absolutely. Like, take
Oh,
Remind.
9.
Yeah, the education platform.
Oh, right.
The founder, Brett Koff, he struggled with ADHD and dyslexia in school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and a teacher who kept in constant contact with his parents was a game changer for him.
So that's what inspired Remind?
Yeah, to make communication between teachers and families better.
So Remind's all about helping students succeed. Did they use OKRs from the start?
Not really. They had less formal goals at first, but as they grew, they needed a way to stay organized.
To manage priorities and make sure everyone was on the same page?
Exactly. And Koff, he interviewed tons of teachers to understand their biggest challenges, he said. When you listen to enough educators in the trenches, you learn pretty quickly that offsite communication ranks high among their pain points.
So even for a company with a social mission, OKRs help them focus.
And scale up their impact.
It wasn't a magic bullet, though, right?
No, they had to figure out how to adapt OKRs to their team.
So it's not just copying Google, it's finding what works for you.
Exactly. It's like finding the right fit, right?
Totally. One thing that trips up a lot of companies, though,
What's that?
making sure everyone's individual goals actually help the company as a whole,
Ah, Yeah, not just working in silos.
Right.
That's where OKRs can be super helpful. They connect the dots between what each team is doing.
And how it all fits together.
Exactly, like a roadmap for everyone to follow.
Doerr talks about MyFitnessPal.
The fitness app?
Yeah, and how they used OKRs to fix a big mess between their product and marketing teams.
Oh, wow.
Their engineering team was stuck in the middle, constantly pulled in different directions.
Yeah, I could see how that would be a problem.
Major delays, tons of frustration.
So how did OKRs save the day?
They created clear ownership.
In accountability.
So no more confusion about who is responsible for what.
It's like that analogy with outfielders in baseball.
Oh yeah, they have to call for the fly ball.
If no one takes charge, everyone loses.
That makes so much sense. Everyone knows their role.
Working together.
Towards the same goal. Did MyFitnessPal do anything else clever with OKRs?
They did. They realized that focusing on unpredictable metrics like revenue
Yeah,
or user growth, it was making it hard to set solid goals.
I can see that.
So they shifted their focus to deadlines.
Ah, interesting.
Hitting a deadline, that's something you can control.
Even when things are crazy.
Exactly. It's like instead of trying to predict the weather, you just make sure you have an umbrella.
I love that analogy. It's about focusing on what you can control.
Exactly. And it shows how important it is to be flexible with OKRs,
Yeah.
You got to adapt.
Based on what's happening around you.
Precisely. Now, are you ready for something really interesting?
Always.
Let's talk about how OKRs can actually change a company's entire culture.
Oh, wow. Okay, tell me more.
Let's look at Lumerus, a healthcare tech company. Their former head of HR, Andrew Cole.
Yeah.
He had a really hard time implementing OKRs
Why?
because the company had two totally different cultures.
Oh, no.
One was all about avoiding risk,
And the other.
data-driven, and innovative.
Can you imagine trying to get those two groups to agree on anything?
It was like pulling teeth. He even compared it to a body rejecting a transplanted organ.
Whoa, okay, that's a strong image.
If the conditions aren't right, it just won't work.
So before you even think about OKRs,
Yeah.
you got to make sure your company culture is ready.
Aligned, ready to embrace change.
I'm getting chills. This is deep stuff.
It is, but it's not just about business.
Yeah. Oh,
OKRs can be used for good.
like how?
Let's talk about the one campaign, Bono's organization.
Yeah, they're fighting poverty, right?
Exactly. Extreme poverty and preventable diseases.
I remember when they shifted their approach
Oh, yeah.
to be more collaborative with African leaders,
That was huge.
moving away from that we know best attitude.
It was crucial. They realized they couldn't do it alone.
They needed to work with the people they were trying to help.
Exactly. And OKRs gave them a way to measure their impact.
So it wasn't just about making noise.
No, they were making a measurable difference.
Bono even said, we needed John Doerr to remind us, if everything's at green, you failed.
Powerful, right? It's about pushing boundaries,
Not just meeting the minimum.
aiming for exceptional results.
This is mind-blowing. It seems like OKRs can be applied to anything.
From Google Toolbar to fighting poverty.
Exactly.
They're incredibly adaptable.
But before we go too far,
Yeah.
let's talk about continuous performance management, or CPM.
Ah, yes, the sidekick to OKRs.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the deal with CPM?
One of the big ideas is separating conversations about your salary from conversations about your actual performance.
Interesting.
It allows for more frequent feedback.
So instead of dreading that yearly review,
You get regular feedback.
that helps you grow.
It's a continuous loop.
I like the sound of that.
It shifts the focus from judging past performance.
To encouraging future growth.
Regular check-ins, real-time feedback.
Much more relevant and useful.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered a lot about OKRs.
A ton of information.
Let's try to sum it all up.
Yeah, the key takeaways.
Exactly. What's the big picture? What should people remember?
I think the most important thing is OKRs aren't magic. They're a tool, and you got to use them the right way.
So it's not enough to just write down some objectives
And key results.
and call it a day.
Nope, you need buy-in from the top.
Leadership has to be on board
Yeah, and you need a commitment to transparency, communication.
and be willing to adapt, right?
Absolutely. It's a process, not a one-time thing.
And creating the right culture, that's huge too.
It is. People need to feel safe to take risks,
Sure.
to see failures as learning experiences.
Otherwise, they'll just play it safe.
And what's the point of that?
Right. Defeats the whole purpose.
Doerr gives a lot of practical tips in the book
Oh, yeah.
on how to write good OKRs, how to do regular check-ins, how to build a culture of feedback.
But in the end,
Yeah.
each company, each person has to find what works for them.
It's about taking those principles and adapting them.
So if someone's brand new to OKRs, where should they start?
Start small, focus on the basics. It's better to have a few really good OKRs.
And a ton of objectives that no one pays attention to.
Exactly.
Quality over quantity.
Always.
And it's a journey, not a destination.
It is. It's about continuous improvement.
Always trying to be better.
That's the mindset.
It's about creating a culture where everyone feels empowered to contribute their best.
And ultimately, it's about results.
Making a real impact.
Whether it's a new product, happier customers, or making the world a better place.
Speaking of making a difference, what about that question we kept coming back to?
The one about personal OKRs.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think the more I learn about OKRs, the more I believe they can be super valuable on a personal level.
Even if your work doesn't use them.
Exactly, because the principles of OKRs,
Clarity, focus, commitment,
accountability, continuous improvement,
those can apply to anything.
any area of life where you want to see progress
It's about taking that strategic thinking,
and applying it to your own goals.
improving your health, learning a new skill, strengthening relationships.
Yeah, anything.
Imagine setting a personal objective to run a marathon
Okay, yeah.
and breaking it down into key results, like training a certain number of miles each week.
Or maybe you want to learn a new language.
Oh, that's a good one.
You could track how many words you've learned
Or aim for a specific level of fluency.
by a certain date.
See, the possibilities are endless.
This deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We've learned about the history of OKRs, how companies like Intel and Google use them.
And how those principles can apply to all areas of life.
OKRs can help organizations get focused, align their teams, achieve ambitious goals.
It's not just about the system itself.
It's about building the right culture.
Transparency, communication, feedback, recognition.
Like John Doerr said, ideas are easy, execution is everything.
And OKRs help you turn those ideas into action.
And achieve real results.
Results that matter.
So go out there and set some audacious goals.
And use OKRs to achieve them.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into OKRs. We hope you found it insightful.
And inspiring.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep aiming for those extraordinary results.